We're ready to get this one. So let's silence all of our phones, our life alerts, our dogs, our dog chew toys. We got called out for that last time, by the way. You're
A
gonna have
dog chew toy in the last episode.
That's what it sounded like. I don't know which one of you guys had it.
Yeah, he's going to the wet market.
Well, my dog doesn't have chew toys, so
I don't know what that was. So the dog keeps it up. I'm gonna.
You know,
take
you
the dog
guys
to
are both
China
full
and
of
eat his
shit.
ass.
You know who's guilty, so stop it.
On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, a political Black Swan event. Danny takes it on the chin. H&K P9S is in, and it's not all burritos and strippers, my friends.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny, Marky, and Freeze, and this is episode 169 of the John 1911 podcast. I got the Three Musketeers back together, and we're already fighting about dog chew toys. So
there's no winning with you two.
Nobody will fess up as to who had the dog chew toy in the last episode, so it's fine. So I will take one for the team and take my puppy to the wet market, so you don't have to take yours. So,
so how's everyone doing?
I'm enjoying my my COVID-19 quarantine, and I'm pretty sure you are as well, Danny. But Freeze is busier than one-armed paper hanger.
Oh shit! I'm working.
Yeah, Freeze is officially a what do you call that? Essential employee.
I'm an essential employee, and I'm working. But you know what, though? I have to admit, it's kind of nice on one hand, because I don't have to deal with a lot of the bullshit, But I tell you, this is interesting though, because I work in the ghetto, and when and I work third shift, so I pull out of my driveway at night, and I live in a fairly nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's a ghost town. No cars on the street. Everything's quiet. And the closer I get to my place of business, the more traffic you see, the more people you see milling around. And then by the time I get there, it's a full-blown fucking party. It's like people in the ghetto don't freaking care.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot a Freeze, because you're so busy, you haven't seen any of the news. So I guess this is District 1 down in off Liberty and over the Rhine. I sent it to Danny. I guess Saturday, technically Saturday night, but Friday night for, like you and me, at 2 o'clock in the morning, the Shell gas station on Liberty, which I drive by on a fairly regular basis, and I'm sure you're quite familiar with. Yeah. CPD, they actually broke up like a mini block party behind the Shell gas station at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and actually cited a guy for violation of the stay-at-home order. I guess because he was broadcasting live on Facebook saying, "Come on the fuck down."
I actually have a copy of his Facebook Live video on my phone. Yeah,
dude, you got to send me that. I'll put it on the website.
Okay, I'll send it over to you. And he's actually at the Justice Center right now. He will go in front of the judge on Monday.
Wow, I mean, you got to work hard to get arrested right now.
Oh, they immediately hooked his ass up. And he's like, no one can tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. This is the way we roll. Yeah. Well, you know what? The way we roll is you're in jail, motherfucker.
I have noticed the closer I get to the ghetto, the more I would say, it's mostly guys. They're under 30 and a lot of temporary tags because that's a ghetto thing. But
it's also the time of year. This is temporary tag season.
I know, but the point is, these guys, like, you'll drive at, say, 11 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's not everybody, but I am seeing people driving during the day that you would normally see how their driving patterns at night at say 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You've got these guys that they just feel like there's going to be no speed traps, no stops, and these guys are literally zipping left and right across 4 or 5 lanes, doing 80 miles an hour up and down 75, and it's like, yeah, this is probably foreshadowing for some future problems. So,
yeah.
Once a certain group of people figures out that they're not going to get arrested, there's going to be big trouble.
Well, the thing is, we're still rocking pretty much the first of the month. Everyone in the ghetto has money; they're flush. But guess what? The casinos are closed, and all the stores are closed. I mean, so they have nothing to spend their money on.
Oh, they'll find things to spend money on.
Find something.
No. I mean,
how sheltered Grandpa is.
No. I mean, shit. I'm not sheltered. I mean, I'm the only one here not retired. Stop it.
Somebody's got to support us.
Yeah, that is true. No, I mean, the thing is, but the normal things that they do, I mean, is not available. I mean, they can't go. There's no clubs open. The casinos are closed. There's no restaurants to go to. I mean, you can't go to Applebee's and get your buy one get one free wing deal. I mean, or whatever the hell they have. I mean, it's just so they're all stark crazy, and they got money.
There's probably going to be some underground parties and some house parties, and there'll probably be some, I would call them like quick gambling joints. Because actually, so Danny, this is to you. I don't know if you remember this. So the Shell gas station that we are referring to, we posted a story, I don't know, a couple of years ago. There's a bar that's on the same road. It's probably 3 blocks away. The bar's not there anymore, and is a notorious bar. Like there's a light right next to it. And then back when I was working, I had a policy: if I caught that light at that bar, say after like 11 or 12, definitely like 2, 3, or 4 in the morning, I basically had a gun in my hand the entire time. Well, what they did is they were running an underground gambling operation there, and CPD finally went in and busted it. They pulled $1 million in cash out of that ass building, and it was like in that neighborhood, and it was so bad. They actually not only did they close it down, take all the cash, illegal bar, illegal nightclub, they knocked the whole building down.
Nice.
And it's how big the gambling is down there, and like the extracurricular activities. And you're not going to know this one. So the now gone underground casino nightclub, 2.5 blocks from the Shell gas station, the underground casino nightclub was also maybe 2 blocks from Cincinnati Police headquarters.
That doesn't surprise me. Right,
I mean,
under
it's
your
kind of
nose.
crazy.
It's. So I'll tell you a story, and I'm sure Marky, I'm sure I've told you this story, but in this, you're probably really not aware of this bar, because this was probably, I want to think it was in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. There was a bar, right, or actually about a mile and a half away from my house, as the crow flies, probably a half mile. And this bar originally was a Pony Express stop. This place had been there since like the 1800s. It was called Josie's Place. And it was a biker bar. It was your typical.
Did it ever change names?
No.
There were a lot of biker bars not that far from you.
Oh yeah, there was a whole string of them, and they're all gone. Yeah. But anyway, this place was a typical biker bar, and there was always problems. Well, what happened is one night there was 2. I don't know what factions of bikers they were. I don't know I don't know if they were outlaws, Hells Angels, whatever. I have no clue.
In Cincinnati, it I can't remember who I used to know them. I've said it on the podcast. I can't remember who. They used to have a club down in California. Then they had a club over by that gun club over on the west side.
Yeah.
Shit. I've actually been in there. Oh God. It's got to be them because this is their city.
Yeah. I mean, I have no clue. But anyway, what happened is there was a gun battle in the parking lot one night. You know, they took the fight to the parking lot. Guns were involved. People were shot. The police came in, immediately closed down the bar, said enough is enough, and literally within a week, the building was dozed. And to this day, if you drive down Harrison Avenue where this bar was, there's a big chain link fence around the property. It's just a level piece of property with fence around it. I don't know who owns it, but there's still nothing built on that property today. They literally dozed that building within a week of them closing it down. You know, so, I mean, you know, that shit happens. I mean, it gets to the point where it's like, you know what? Well, it's just like that bar a couple weeks ago that they shut down on Queen City Avenue.
Oh shit! I've been in there. There's a bar. It's been there It's been various different things, but it's at the corner of Queen City. I think that's Wyoming. And I've told the story on this podcast. They had the shutdown order here in Cincinnati, and you know, it's like the CPD rolls in. There's like 40 people in there. They're like, "What the fuck?" They actually arrested people and like boarded the bar up and actually shut it down.
But they put a sign on the door, private club, and they tried to pull the private club bullshit. But that bar has always been a problem with law enforcement.
Well, let me tell you how much of a problem that bar is. If anyone recalls, my 12-year-old hooker story happened right in front of that bar one night. My 12-year-old hooker story. It was literally at that intersection. When I tell the story about there was this girl, she's muddy, looks like a little like 12-year-old girl, her jellies on, coming out of the wood. I'm like, she looks like scared and lost. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like crazy late. So it's a school night. And I pull over and I'm like, are you okay? And I realize it's not a 12-year-old girl. It's a very small, very petite, shot out 25-year-old hooker. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I was like, damn, hookers are working this neighborhood now. I just remember being like, that was in, I don't know when that was. That was probably, that was probably 2002. No, 2001, 2002. I'm trying to remember when that was. Yeah. But there's hookers have been working that corner for 20 years now.
Oh yeah.
And well, it's a tough neighborhood.
That bar has always been a problem, and it's changed names over the years. And when they were violating the shutdown order and trying to pull the private club thing, cops went in there, raided the place. They arrested the owner. They got him on firearms charges, by the way. And
did they? Okay, my man.
He was packing, and
my man. I'd be packing to that bar too. But
whether you're the owner of the bar or not, felons are not allowed to be packing.
Hey, now technical.
Well, technical's fine for our podcast, but you know what? Technical didn't keep him out of fucking jail.
He's in the Hooskow.
I mean, I don't know if he is now, but I mean, I'm sure he's been bailed. But I mean, they boarded that place up. They boarded the windows, the doors. They yanked the food license. They yanked the liquor license. That place is done.
Yeah, it was interesting because that was the first building that I had during this entire process. Because again, Ohio was one of the first states to do a stay-at-home order. I think Ohio may have been the first state. And they boarded that building up, and that was like, holy shit, they're because of local yokels. But now Danny's telling me, I'm seeing reports out of New York, they're boarding up all these buildings. I saw a report out of LA, like maybe it's even Rodeo Drive. They're emptying out all the stores, the owners. They're emptying out all the merchandise out of all the stores, and they're boarding up all the buildings because they're expecting trouble. Danny's telling me it's happening in Chicago, too.
Yes, they are.
Well, yeah.
It's not as bad as the Philippines, though, for staying home.
What's going on in the Philippines?
Didn't you get what I sent you? What the Philippine president wants to do? Shoot on sight anyone that violates the stay-at-home order.
Was that Derte, or whatever his name is? That guy's half crazy.
Right. I sent you the link. It might not have went through.
I haven't seen it. So, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, the old policy used to be looters will be shot on sight. I mean, there's actually I remember it was the what riots were? There was a riots. Maybe it was in L.A. I don't remember where it was. But this cop, he's coming down the road, and there's all these people rioting. They're looting out these stores. Maybe it's in New Orleans during Katrina. And he's maybe got two guys with him, and he's got a shotgun, and literally he's just walking down the street, and like as soon as he sees somebody coming out of a store with a television or whatever, he literally points that shotgun at them, and they drop their shit and run. And it was like he was very, very close to actually shooting looters.
Well,
It's like, I mean, I hope we don't get to that. I've heard in New York, business burglaries are up 75%.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, it really doesn't. Anytime you have a situation like this going on, I mean, you have looting situations, and it always turns out to be super liberal cities with super liberal laws. And basically pieces of shit people that they're used to being able to get away with anything, Well, I mean, let's go back to Ferguson, It's like, oh, well, we can get away with all this shit. You know what? If the fucking cops went out there with shotguns and started shooting people, Ferguson would have stopped fucking immediately.
Did you see what is also going on in Seattle? The Seattle mayor stopped all gun sales and then let over 600 felons out.
Yeah, but that's Seattle, and does that really fucking shock anyone?
But you can't defend yourself anymore because the gun stores are closed.
Well, and you know what? In Seattle, you're not allowed to fucking own guns anyway. I mean, it's like...
I don't know if that's true.
They're pretty fucking liberal. Seattle's got some pretty strict gun laws. I mean, I'm not saying you're not allowed to own guns.
You know what?
But...
You know what? You actually may be onto something because they did pass a law where I remember the Seattle gun stores where the gun stores were moving out of the city. Was that Seattle or Portland? That might have been Seattle.
I don't know if it was Seattle or Portland, but it could be either one. I mean, look, anytime you sit there and disarm your citizens or make it impossible for them to own firearms, you're going to get this kind of shit. Because look, okay, do you remember the riots here in Cincinnati?
Oh, sure, I've worked them.
Yeah, okay.
I've been through riots in Cincinnati. I've been through riots in another city I won't mention.
Yeah, okay. So when the riots were going on, they were all mainly in the downtown area, but they were creeping out. And I was listening to an AM talk show, and a caller called in, and the caller was a black caller. And they're like, well, I heard people in Cheviot, because the riots were getting close to the Cheviot area. I heard people in Cheviot were sitting out on their porches with guns. And the host of the station said, well, in this country, that is their right to do. They have a right to protect their properties. Like, the only thing I can say is if you're a rioter or a looter, you should stay the hell out of Cheviot. Because the truth is, when you have riots like this, they always go to liberal areas where they know nothing's going to happen to them. Look.
Well, let me tell you my riot story.
Okay.
That kind of goes with that. So this was the daytime, and It's I don't know. It's the afternoon. I don't know if it was a weekend or weekday. I think it might have been a weekend, but I don't remember. And I'm at the gym, and there's unrest because of the thing that happened.
Yeah.
And it's a big corporate gym, like one of these big giant goofy fucking 50,000 square foot gyms.
Yeah, gotcha.
And this woman comes in, and she goes, "They're looting I don't know. I don't remember what the store was. They're looting the Nike store across the street at the mall." And I was like, "Oh, fuck." And I looked out the window and I could see people over there. And I was like, it's time to fucking go. And what had happened is, you're correct, is the bunch of people, they, were riding downtown and they were not getting what they wanted. And there was an urban shoe store up in this mall, strip mall, like an open mall. I wouldn't call it a strip mall, but basically a strip mall. And they knew the store was there, so hundreds of them came up in cars and just cleaned out that business.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle of, there was traffic. It wasn't like the streets were empty and there were no cops, and there were thousands of people around, cars, normal traffic. But it was so many, you couldn't stop it. No, and it was like, they're losing control of the city. Time to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, there's too many of them. You can't stop it.
Yeah, the only way to stop it is to start shooting people.
Exactly. But the thing is, when you come into like my neighborhood, not that there's any businesses in my neighborhood, because, I live in, you know where I live.
Yeah.
But the point is, no one's going to come around and loot houses in my neighborhood, because everyone in my neighborhood will shoot you dead as a fucking rock. And the thing is, they know that they can go downtown and bust windows out and steal things, and no one's going to do anything to them.
Well, the thing is, because what's going on, everybody's home. So home burglaries are going to be down. Porch thefts are going to be down. Anything that has to do with stealing mail, porch pirates, daytime burglaries, because people are home. It's like most burglaries don't generally happen on weekends and don't generally happen in the evenings, because as a general rule, population-wise, most people are home at night and work during the day. Well, that's all fucked up. So now, like we were talking about New York, the business burglaries are up because there's nobody in the business.
Yes.
And that they predicted all this. So, we'll see if this gets, and we're just going to have, I was talking to the owner of a gun store, and he's pretty cleaned out. He has a few things left. He's now got guns where, like let's say he's got a Glock pistol, and for sale, and he's got like a box of ammo with it, because the people that are coming in buying guns from him now basically are like, I need a gun. And they come in, they're like, hey, I need a gun, like, you got any ammo? Like, no, I don't have any ammo. So he's got set aside a box for each gun so he can sell it as a package.
Yeah.
And we discussed this, and I said, it's kind of slowed down a little bit, but as soon as an incident happens, like, let's say, let's say there's looting in New York, or there's looting up by Danny in Chicago.
Okay.
Or, something happens, there's going to be a second run on these gun stores.
Oh,
People are going to really be looking to be like, holy fuck.
Oh,
and there's going to be like the true panic's coming. If things, the longer this goes on, and the longer that, we're in this weird situation, no one really knows the answer, but there's a possibility that we could have what I would call artificial riots and artificial looting that's created by this unique scenario. And if one of those pops up, there's going to be a new wave of gun sales. Apparently, this past month has set a record with gun sales in America. Danny, have you seen that?
Yeah, because my 359 is well over 400 now.
Danny was trying to see. Here's the thing. So Danny was trying to buy a police. Was it a New York NYPD gun?
Yes.
Pistol, and the thing is, he was hoping to get a deal on it, but the problem is that police gun, the Smith & Wesson 59 series gun, is still too modern, and so people are panic buying, and even that they're going to step up and buy it. What you need to buy now is truly collectible and antique stuff, or like higher dollar stuff. Like, for example, we just purchased, I picked it up yesterday, a Centerfire Systems sent out an email. They're like, hey, we have H&K P9S pistols. And I'm not even that familiar with it. I was like, well, and I look at the price, it's like $399. And I was like, all right, let me see what these actually go for. And I looked, and I'm like, oh my God, these are $900 guns. And, again, these are P9S. I don't know if they're police. I don't know where they got these guns. They're rough. But it's like, we don't have a P9S. It's a 9mm. It's a full-size gun. It's a decent price for a reference gun. $399, they'll ship it to us. I'm like, all right, I guess we're getting a fucking H&K P9S.
Well, and you know what's interesting? What's interesting about that is, if you remember, you probably don't remember this, but way back then, and I'm probably talking about 7 or 8 years ago, we bought a bunch of surplus shit from a wholesaler, and we have a West German, and I probably have 5 or 6 of them.
Those drop leg holsters.
Yes, they're drop leg holsters. They're police holsters. They're West German police holsters, and that gun will.
They're drop leg leather holsters.
Yes, they're leather, and I believe I'm not going to swear 100% on it, but I believe that gun will fit in that holster.
Is it a P9 or is it a P7 or?
I think you know what? I think the holster was designed for a P7, which is like a squeeze cocker.
Yeah,
but I believe the P9 will fit in that holster. I mean, proof's in the pudding. I'll grab one of the holsters and we'll grab the gun and we'll see if it fits. But we may have a leather drop leg holster that will work with that gun.
Oh God, those holsters, they're unissued and they're all leather. And to make that holster today, to buy that holster today, if somebody were to be like, hey, I'm a custom leather guy, we're going to make these holsters, God, they'd be $400 holsters.
Oh yeah, and we paid, I mean, I think we literally paid $2 or $3 a piece for these holsters.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount. It's half a cow to make.
Well,
everyone
seems to be making money.
Go ahead, David.
Everyone seems to be making money during this pandemic crisis or whatever. Let's say that 59 goes for $4.25. Then it's a $30 fee for the auction. Then there's an internet fee on top of that. Then it's $25 to the FFL. So you're over $500 on a 12-year-old gun.
Well, here's my advice to you, Danny, because because we talked about this. I think you are probably going to end up with a Model 10 K-frame. I mean, you could be a Model 63 or whatever, stainless one, but like one of those 4-inch Model 10 38 special guns. Those are the shit. Dude, you get those for $200.
Look, when you actually have to buy Danny his steak dinner, just grab a Model 10 out of the fucking armory and give him one.
Oh, Danny's buying me the steak.
Oh, really? Okay, well, you know what? The compensation for the steak dinner is give him a fucking Model 10.
Yeah, you know what? No, I got this whole thing set up because we're going to eat at Roost Chris.
Oh, my God.
Capitol Grill. It's a Capitol Grill in Indianapolis.
Oh, Capitol Grill.
And we're going to come in.
This is damn fine eating, my friend.
Yes, it is. So we're going to go to the Capitol Grill, and I'll bring a gun, and I will make it like a mob scene. I'll be all cagey, and I'll slide you the package across the table. And I'll be like, our people really appreciate everything you've done for the family.
But the way it's going, it'll probably when we go to pay or whatever, it'll be one of those bulletproof plexiglass turnstile thing. Here's your food. Here's your money.
Hey, by the way, that particular restaurant has had bullets come through the front window of it.
Well, I'm not sitting nowhere near the window.
Mm-hmm. There was some NBA players were in town. I don't know if it was they were doing I don't know if it was a NBA. I don't know if it was the draft that was taking place for the NBA or if it was a game. But there were some there's athletes that live in that building. It's a secured building, and they went to a club, and with their fancy cars because it's a very nice building, and I guess they had some kind of beef back at the club, and so the guy left and his people, and they roll up to his house, which is the same building that this restaurant's in, and some dopers or whatever followed this guy from the club, and they started shooting at his car, right at the valet, and bullets are coming into the glass there at the Capitol Grill there in Indianapolis, and it was so bad, and people don't realize this. There was serious talk of maybe kicking the NBA team out of Indianapolis.
Wow.
They were like, fuck you guys, this is bullshit. They were like, the Colts are, we'd rather have the Colts don't give us this kind of trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, there was talk about turning a business on its head. Is because it wasn't like the Indiana Pacers. It's not like they win anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't follow basketball.
I don't follow
But yeah,
but the Pacers are not, as far as I know, they're not like the Chicago Bulls.
All the Bulls are pathetic.
A huge political liability. So, it's like, I mean, you can ruin, like, I guess the point is you can ruin a good thing by assuming that, we're fine, we're untouchable. This is the way it is now, the way it's always going to be.
Well, Marky,
so Danny,
speaking about ruining a good, or maybe not ruining a good thing, but assumptions of being untouchable, like you alluded to earlier about the people driving across 4 lanes at 90 miles an hour or this or that. Did you see how Trump brought up he's increasing the drug enforcement?
I mean, I've seen references to it. I know there's some issues going on with the dopers, out of Central and South America trying to move drugs up. I know it's like he's going to aircraft and Navy ships.
Well,
and I don't know what
he basically said that these people that are moving drugs are foolish if they think that the United States is going to let their guard down. So he enhanced enforcement.
Well, I have heard from some people that are into, they're still working this kind of thing. They were telling me, because most fentanyl that's in the U.S. comes from China. And most, like, politically, people don't really, like, if you say that, they're like, yeah, I think I know that. But politically, it's not accepted as reality. Like, politically, it's not accepted that China is probably one of the biggest dope dealers into the U.S. that's comparable to even, like, these cartels down in Mexico. Well, here's the thing. The fentanyl comes from China, ends up in Mexico. They cut it and use it in stuff, and then they bring it across the border. Apparently, the dopers in Mexico are not getting their fentanyl from China because of all the COVID disruptions when they had to shut down their economy. So I think there's dopers in Mexico that are hurting for money. And so they're probably being more aggressive, trying to get stuff across the border.
I think anything to do with China, people are hurting. Have you seen those 150-car rail trains, and they've got all those containers on them that go to these big, from ports, and 90% of them come in from China? Well, I know a couple of kids that drive at the ports, those hostler trucks unloading them. They're all laid off now.
Yeah, well,
there could be more disruptions.
Yeah.
That's how much stuff came in from China.
Look.
So are they they're laid off because the stuff's not coming in, or they're laid off because of the COVID-19?
They are laid off. They were getting laid off, I'd say, about 3 weeks ago, and now they're all laid off because nothing is allowed to come in from China pretty much.
Because China's not back online yet. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So how much do we depend on China for things?
Oh, dude, I can't. I have to admit, I am shocked at how much shit I had no idea comes from China.
Well,
like, Freeze and I used to talk about this, like when we were making shirts, and I'm not going to name the company, But, you know, like we were tactical t-shirts and we were making these shirts and we screened them here in the US. But the shirts, we would get shirt stock. It'd be high quality shirt stock. But like, you know, maybe the shirts are made in Honduras, or maybe the shirts are made in Indonesia, or maybe the shirts are made, we wouldn't get Pakistan. But, you know, there'd be generally, we weren't getting a shirt that was milled in the US. Yeah. Well, what was happening is a couple of our biggest competitors that I will call Brovet t-shirt companies, these assholes, what they would do, they would buy super cheap shit from China. They would bring the shirts in. They would rip the fucking tags off of them to where they're made, and then resew the seam, and then they would silk screen onto the back of the shirt a tag that said "Made in the USA," and it was the biggest bunch of fucking line, 100% made in the USA shirt, and it's like that's bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these fucking guys, I mean, I'm talking the biggest of these Brovet companies were lying through their fucking teeth. And I was like, it's all the shit's coming from China. And I was like, this is bullshit. They're lying. And I'm thinking about that, like, you know, like I couldn't believe all the dope or all the drugs that I guess the ingredients come from China. Yeah. And now they're saying the antibiotic shit comes from China. I couldn't, like, you know, I just couldn't, you know, like I've said it before, we won't feed our fucking dogs dog food from fucking China. But apparently you know, there's people with like medications that they need to live, and it's actually the active ingredient comes from China. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's like, this is insane.
It is.
This is fucking criminal. But you know what? Let's talk about that, because this gets into politics. I want to make this point.
I truly think once this bullshit we're dealing with is over, I think our relationship with China is going to drastically change. It has to.
I agree.
It will, but but you know what? It's probably not going to happen as like a sudden turn off of the spigot, because China could hurt us as much as we can hurt them. There's going to be this movement of like companies are going to be asked to, you know, like, hey, it's not smart to keep all your shit in China. You got to start diversifying. But here's the thing: if the Republicans are not careful, they're going to lose. I don't care if Donald Trump gets reelected. They're in danger of losing the Senate, because the Republicans are getting fucked on this. This story about these senators that sold all their shit before Trump declared Trump declared the lockdowns. Yeah. Like, this Kelly Loeffler of Georgia is like the fucking worst one. She's a Republican. She was just appointed. She didn't actually run. She was appointed, and she was, as I recall, she wasn't even the one that was even like the Trump, like the hardcore Republicans didn't really want her. They wanted somebody else, but the old guard party down there in Georgia, like all the fucking Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney fucking Republicans. Oh, Kelly Loeffler, she's the one. And, you know, she's come out and said, I have a blind trust and I wasn't a part of any of this. That's fine. And then, you know, it turns out she sold more shit. She's not only she sell a bunch of stuff off the stock market like right before this thing happened. Now it's coming out she sold all these travel stocks before Trump was closing down travel from parts of Europe and China. And then it turns out her husband like works at like the New York Stock Exchange or something. Like, this is so fucking dirty. Like, this is going to be a huge problem in November.
Feinstein's
these
dirty
stupid
too.
fuckers are going to cost fucking Trump.
Feinstein's, she was in on that selling too.
Oh, that's fine. You know what? You don't hear a fucking word about it. You want to know why? Because Dianne Feinstein has employed Chinese fucking goddamn spies in her office, but she's in California and you can't get fucking rid of her.
Yeah.
But this woman in Georgia and this asshole in the Carolinas, another one of these fuckers, they're going to fucking get their asses kicked if they don't get this shit straight. Like, at this point, Kelly Loeffler, this is going to damage her. And the problem is, she's this good-looking woman. She's a wealthy woman. She's a successful woman. And it's so easy to, like, make her, like, Bernie. This is the kind of woman that gets fucking Bernie Sanders elected. This is the kind of woman that gets AOC fucking elected. And I'm getting to the point, I am sick and tired of hearing about these fucking people. Because this is terrible. This is fucking going to, what the goddamn good is it going to do to get Trump reelected if he loses the House and the
got a point.
This is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the point, but I really don't think he's going to lose. We don't have the House. We're not going to lose the Senate, and I think we will regain the House.
Do the numbers. Do the numbers. Right now, here's the problem. The Senate is so fucking close, and McSally, there's the McSally in Arizona that may not win re-election because she was appointed. You got Loeffler in goddamn Georgia who may not win re-election because she's a fucking idiot. You got this other one guy in fucking I think North Carolina who's a senator. That's 3 right there. Like this is a major fucking problem. And here's the thing. Nobody knows what November is going to look like. Nobody knows what the political story is going to be.
Yeah.
Is the story going to be that Trump did everything right? Or is the story going to be, because you're already seeing it, because Danny even sent me the thing. What is it? Who's the pencil neck from who's pencil neck?
Schiff.
Danny? What's Schiff? Schiff wants to have a COVID.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And it's just like, yeah, and what's the point of the COVID commission? The COVID commission is to basically have a dog and pony show that's going to hammer Donald Trump from here until November about this fucking virus and try to cost him the election.
Are there that many stupid people that think Trump is responsible for this virus?
Probably. Possibly. Yeah. I mean, there probably are. I mean, when you get right down to it.
Look, partisans will believe whatever they want to believe. I mean, dude, like there are people on the Republican side that literally thought, shit about Obama that was so nuts. It was like, I can't fucking help you. I mean, I'm not an Obama fan either, but you're just talking crazy batshit out of your ass.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's like, I mean, this is a, and it's just as bad on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's like, and here, well, now here's something else, because I want to get this on pod, because nobody's talking about this. The COVID-19 thing, I've been, it's like, oh, next week's going to be bad, and next week's going to be bad. And it hasn't really happened, but I guess a bad week is coming. So here's a Black Swan event. And I definitely want to run this by our chief political correspondent, Danny. So let me list you 4 people plus one bonus person. If one of these people dies from COVID-19 because they are advanced in age, how this could change in November. What happens if Nancy Pelosi catches COVID and dies? Ruth Bader Ginsburg catches COVID and dies. Trump catches COVID and dies. Biden catches COVID and dies. Or a bonus, Bernie catches COVID and dies and becomes a martyr to the commies. Like, if Trump catches COVID and dies, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg catches COVID and dies, I don't know what that's going to do to the electorate in November.
I don't think my personal opinion is Ruth Bader Ginsburg's not even in the equation as far as I'm concerned. I really don't. I don't think she is.
How's she not in the equation?
I mean, I don't think that would make a difference between partisan politics as far as voters go. Now, if Bernie or Biden or Trump, that could make a huge fucking difference. I mean, I agree with that. But I don't think, when you talk about Ginsburg, I don't think she's really in the equation. Because Ginsburg has 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on a banana peel now.
Well,
I really don't think she's in the equation.
I agree with Freeze, but if any of those other scenarios happen to any of the others, if I were Mike Pence, I would triple my security.
Good point.
So, okay, hold on. So I'm going to tell you why you were both wrong about Ruth Bader.
Okay, well, you can tell me why you feel we're both wrong.
I hope you are both wrong, and I hope I'm never proven right. Because here's the problem: Joe Biden is like drooling at the mouth. Nobody, even like, was it Joe Rogan even came out and was like, dude, I don't think I can.
Yeah,
vote
I heard
for Biden.
about
I can
that.
vote for Trump. Yeah, and it's like, all of a sudden now Joe Rogan's like a neo-Nazi alt-right guy. It's like, really? But okay, that's an aside. Here's the thing: the left isn't the question is the left motivated to vote in November? And the argument has been for the Bernie people. It's like Bernie's people, they're the future, rah, 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 go red or go whatever. And the thing is, they're having some of these elections, like these primaries, and the Bernie people don't fucking vote. There's only about 60%, it's mostly young, only about 60% of the young people are actually turning out. They're not showing up at the polls because, again, Bernie people will show up to a fucking free concert, but they won't get their ass out of bed to vote for actually something that matters, which is why Joe Biden is like fucking won 14 of the last 15 of the last primaries. Here's the problem. Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies. All of a sudden, the left has a new narrative. If we do not beat this motherfucker Trump in the fall, we're going to lose everything. You're going to lose abortion. You're going to lose your country. You're going to lose. They are going to go fucking crazy if she dies before November. And the Republicans, hold on. And the Republicans have the Senate right now. They could, in theory, get a new person across the line. There'll be a huge battle to like say you should wait till after the election to confirm a new justice, and it could there could be violence. They will go fucking bonkers if
I do,
and they'll be motivated.
I disagree with you on that. I mean, look, I'm not saying that what you're saying couldn't happen. I'm just saying I personally don't think so, because here's the thing. You're looking at it from the majority of the American voters actually fucking care. The truth is the majority of the American voters don't know who the fucking Supreme Court justices are.
That's true.
I just don't think Ginsburg is that big of a deal when it really comes down to it.
Ginsburg is as big to the left as Anthony Scalia.
Yeah, but you know what, though? At the end of the day, all these fucking Bernie voters who don't turn out for the fucking primaries don't give a shit about Ginsburg.
Well, Freeze, I think that they would, though, because back to Marky's point, the left would push exactly how they're going to lose everything, and that might be some form of motivation for them. And
that very well could be the case. I mean that really could be the case. I'm not saying, I'm not going to sit there and fucking die on the cross with my opinion. I'm just saying I disagree with Marky's opinion on Ginsburg. But at the end of the day, if he's right, I'm not going to say I'm going to be shocked either.
So let me run another Black Swan event by Danny, because Danny probably has more of a feel for this than even I do. And I'm going to do a throwback here to Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Joe Rogan is saying, I can't do it. I can't vote for fucking Biden. Well, here's the thing. Biden's got 14 of the last 15 whatever
primaries.
Primaries. And he's, you need, I can't remember what the plurality, I can't remember what the number of delegates you need to go into the convention, which they're going to have a virtual convention anyway. It's going to be a clusterfuck. There's been grumblings already that if Biden were to die, or if they decide, the powers that be, and I hate that phrase, but the powers that be, the super delegates, the grand poobahs of the Democratic Party decide, Joe, I don't care how many fucking delegates Joe has, we're not putting his ass up. So let's put Cuomo.
Cuomo has so much dirt on him, it hasn't even begun to surface. Like his pierced nipples and things like that. There's a lot of things that'll come out.
You know what? Once I traveled internationally, I had to take my pierced nipples out. You know what?
Does Cuomo? Seriously, hold on a second. Does Cuomo honestly? Does he have pierced nipples?
Oh, that's what Sarah Huckabee said.
Well, did Sarah Huckabee fuck Cuomo?
I have no idea. It was just something I read.
Holy shit!
I mean, at the end of the day, if Cuomo has pierced nipples, I kind of like him a little better than I do like 2 minutes ago.
Dude,
I mean,
dude, let me tell you something. I knew a guy many years ago who had his scrotum.
Oh, dude!
Pierced, and he was flying. Oh no! It gets better. It gets better. It gets better. It gets better. So this guy, he was kind of a nutcase. He now lives in Thailand. A guy that I used to know in whatever. So I remember like one time he calls me. I get a call and he's calling me internationally. And he's like, "Hey man, could you wire me some money?" I'm like, I've kind of run out of money. I kind of had some issues, and I'm like, okay, well, where are you? And like, where do you want me to send it? He's like, I'm in Cuba. And this is in the fucking 90s. And I'm like, what?
Could you even wire money to Cuba in the 90s?
What it was is I think I had to, it was Western Union, and I had to, I don't know if it was, I had to send it to somebody in Canada, and then they sent it to Cuba. I can't remember. But here's the thing. How he got to Cuba is he went to fucking Canada, then got on a flight as an American, and flew to Cuba. Now, here's my point. He goes to Cuba, and because he's an idiot, and America doesn't end up in a fucking prison. And so he's flying back into Canada, and he's kind of a fucking pothead. And he's got, I don't remember what kind of dope he had, like, I don't know what it was, some little fucking dope thing. And what he did is he actually tied it around his scrotum. Like he tied it. He was like, they're never going to fucking pat my junk. Well, guess what? He's coming through Canada into the U.S., goes through U.S. Customs, walks through a metal detector, sets off the metal detector, and then they take a wand and they take it over his fucking junk, and it's like beep beep, and they're like, what's that? And he's like, oh fuck.
Oh, he had a fucking Prince Albert, didn't he?
He had a fucking,
I get that phrase.
His fucking scrotum. So then what he does, this literally saves his ass. He sticks his tongue out, and he's got a bar or some bullshit piece of metal in his tongue, and he goes, I've got one of these, points to his tongue, and then points at his junk. He says, right here. And the guy looked at him and said, I'm not going to fucking want to see that. And literally, how this fucker did end up in jail, I have no idea. Like, oh my God. So, yeah, now this is pre 9/11. This is hold on. Now, this guy, just as another aside, he had an Interpol warrant out for his arrest and had to flee out of Vietnam into Thailand once, but that's a different.
Well, he probably had to flee out of Thailand because of all the fucking lady boys he was banging.
Well,
oh no, he lives in Thailand.
Well, Marky, you want to talk about optics? You remember how I told you that seniors get the early shopping hours? Okay, I want you to picture this.
Because you're a senior.
Some chubby guy walking around with all these seniors grocery shopping, repping a tactical t-shirt shirt that says burritos and strippers on it. If you could have seen the look, yes. If you could have seen the looks, you would have paid to have seen them. Unbelievable.
Oh my God. Do you have a picture of that?
I could take one. I had it on when I went shopping.
Oh, it was you. Okay.
No, wait. Did we make?
Yes. Yeah. We had the burritos and stripper shirt.
Life isn't all burritos and strippers. Well, I had that on when I went senior shopping, and let's just say it was very interesting.
God Almighty.
Yeah, burritos, but you know what though? Who doesn't like burritos and strippers? Come on.
Nope. Well, the old ladies.
We know Donald Trump likes burritos.
Yeah, we do.
Let's just say if you were still in the T-shirt business, you would have sold 1,000 that day.
Hey,
it was classic. It was classic.
Well, I'll tell you what, because we're going long, and this thing's going to cut us off here soon, and I Jenner like to do a police blotter thing, but I'm going to do one that's kind of topical, and we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Have you guys seen the video coming out of, I don't know if it was in Florida, but there was a Chinese woman, I'm assuming Chinese. She didn't look Japanese to me. I had a Japanese girlfriend at one point. She looked Chinese, and she's in like a Best Buy or some kind of electronics store, and she's rubbing and touching every keyboard and camera on this laptop display. That looked bizarre to me. That looked like biowarfare to me. That looked
See, I didn't see that. So
there's this video. I'll see if I can't dig it up. This woman, maybe she's infected with COVID and she's trying to pass it along. And I saw that and I said, if I was the FBI, I think it was in Florida, I'd be like, okay, I want the security cameras from that store. I want to walk her out to her car. I want to see the make of her car. I want the license plate. If we can't get the license plate, I want to see which way she pulled out of the parking lot. And I'm going to hit every store that has security cameras until I can get her plate. Then I'm going to go find her ass, and we're going to test her. And then we're going to arrest her. Because that was crazy.
Could that have been arrested for terrorism?
Possibly? Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
She could have been arrested for possibly weapon of mass destruction. There could have been a terrorism charge there. There's disturbing the peace. Whatever charges you bust people on for like exposing them to AIDS and not telling people that you got the HIV. There's so many charges you could rack this woman with. And here's the thing: if she's a foreign national and they can connect her somehow to a foreign government, maybe she's some kind of operative. They could even bring her up on national security espionage charges. I mean, they could rack and
real quick. Speaking about police blotter, did you see what the Seattle police chief said to call 911 on?
People breaking the
you can't call 911 if you're robbed, if you're looted, or if you're assaulted. But if you feel discriminated against, or if someone says something that is not nice to you, call 911. She's on tape saying that.
So this is Seattle?
Yes.
And that wraps up episode 169 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see pictures, stories, or links of anything we discussed, you can go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody.
See you later.